Alright, welcome back. I got another video for a brother tutorial. Today we're going to be calibrating this probe and using it a little bit just to kind of get you started on probing a little bit. So to start off by saying, I'd like to mention that a lot of the software I'm going to be using was put into this machine by the machine distributor and Renishaw themselves. See, we're using a Renishaw probe. So a lot of these machines will come packed with these programs that are required for the probe to work. So I like to make that very clear right off the bat. And another thing I like to mention is that when I got to this probe, the batteries were dead. Lots of times the machine will throw errors even if the battery's low. So to change the batteries, you just get out a house key or a coin or something, crack this to the left, and this will just pop out. The batteries in this little plastic tray, and you need, relatively charged batteries to operate the probe. For some reason on our machine it seems like they die all the time, so just be on the lookout for just dead batteries. A lot of the errors with these can be just as simple as dead batteries. But I will mention that these batteries are very strange. We got just a 3.6 volt. It's about the size of a AA. I'm pretty sure it's considered a AA, but it's much shorter. So I think we can find a link to where these batteries can be purchased, and I'll leave it in the description below so you can get your hands on some of these yourselves, because they're very, very necessary to probing. So we got new batteries in this. We should be good to go. First thing I'm going to do is calibrate this probe. I want it to be calibrated and working properly before I use it for any kind of measurements or offset pickups. So getting into it, we got to go into look at some kind of calibration program. And for us, we use this program here. It's program 2. You're really just looking for anything in your program list that has some kind of ring calibration, cal for short. I'm not sure it's totally specific. I know on lots of machines it can be different, but just look for something sort of like that. So once we get in here, I want to make sure that I got D as the diameter of my ring. Now I'm not quite sure what B and K do, so I tend to just leave them alone. So we always use a 6mm stylus, and by that I mean it's this ball right here. It's 6mm diameter, so it's always seemed to work well. I'm just going to leave it alone. For sure, make sure this D is set to whatever size your ring is. So if your machine's in metric, you put a metric number in there. Mine's in English or inches, so we're going to put it in an inch denomination. So now that we got that out of the way, that's for the calibration itself right here. So before it does the calibration, you might notice that we have some kind of positioning going on. Positioning with G54.1 P46. I'll show you to get the P46 in a minute, but it does also do some Z moves. So doing Z moves or a Z setup without a probe is a little bit of a process. So I'm going to show you that in the next video, and I'll go through that so it's perfectly clear how to do that on here. Now I like to use the tool setter if you have one, or if you don't, then you would just use whatever you use to set up tools. But that way, that makes sure your tools and your work are pretty they're pretty well in agreement. So now I've already got G54.1 P46 already set up, but I'll show you where it is now. We'll go get out of here. I didn't want to change anything, so no saving changes. Now I'm looking, going to data bank, work piece coordinate 0. Extended coordinates is where the P's are, and 46 is pretty close to the bottom. Actually, it is on the bottom. And I just want to make sure the X and Y of this are where I'm at. I'm gonna put this ring close to where the probe is. It doesn't have to be perfect, just has to be close. So I'll go to manual. I want to get my probe sort of where my ring is, or get my ring sort of where my probe is. Well, I like to just kind of put it in a way that we're close. That looks pretty close to me. So we'll go into data bank, work piece coordinates 0, extended coordinates. Now again, I already set this up, so we're not done with it. I'll show you how to do Z separately. But for just X and Y, it's pretty easy. We're going to hit automatic setting, and it's going to set that X and Y wherever the machine is at the moment. So let's set. Same for Y. Set. Good to go. Save it. Now we can, since this program I'm about to use does positioning, I'm going to get the probe kind of out of there. Now since I've already done this, I'm going to let it fly, but if it's your first time, I recommend doing it a little bit slower. So I'm on a different program right now. I want to hit enter. This program that we looked at a moment ago will show up. So we got that G54.1 P46 there. You see our 2.5. So we're in good shape on the program side. Now we'll just hit start. Should just go. The machine's gonna kind of feel up the ring a little bit, and then it'll actually do the calibration. Now over here on the program side, it's just a bunch of macros and stuff that they're pretty difficult to understand. I don't even fully understand these myself. But the way that all this is set up, it's meant to be friendly, and you don't got to worry about all this stuff. But you can, how do I put this? You just do something kind of basic, and it'll do all this. Well, it's done. The probe's turned off, and our probe XY should be set up pretty well. So now I'm gonna show you how to probe a bore. Since I got the ring out, we'll go into program edit. We're looking for this one right here. Lots of the machines. I think Yamazin puts this in here, and it's just sort of like a quick probing thing. So we're gonna go over. If I want to probe a bore, we have a list here that tells you how to kind of write this line out. So first off, to probe a bore, I want A1. Put in A1 right there. Now I'm going to do S1. S1's G54, and up to 59 is S6. So that makes 55, S2, 56, S3, so on. I usually end up counting it on my fingers just so I don't mess it up. But the extended coordinates, or the P's, are very, very simple, because they start at 101 for P1, and then it goes up to 48. P48 is 148, so that makes P10, S110, P30, S130, and that makes like P40, P140, anything in between. It's pretty easy to figure out. So I got S1. I'm gonna do G54. That's out heel, and the ring is 2.5 inches, so I want to put a 2 there. For just doing a bore, I want to take out the Z. I don't use Z for a bore. This should already be inside the bore. So I want to save this so it carries over to memory. We'll go into memory. Pull up our program. That was 1, 2, 3. Nope, that's not right. So it's a good thing I looked at it again. Go back in here. For a bore or a boss, you want to use a D. A Y would be for like a web or a pocket. I wanted to put a D here for diameter. Go back into here. That looks good. And now what I gotta do is make sure my probe's already in that bore. Just go into manual. Down. I'll go back to this. I'm gonna, to make sure it works, I like to set these as something ridiculous, like an even 13. And that could be even 7. And the purpose of this is to make sure that these two numbers change. If they don't change, something went wrong, or you're just perfect at guessing. So I want to probe that right there. I'm going to come back and make sure that these numbers change. So I'll save that. I'll go back again, make sure they're still there. All right, they're good. They're good. So we'll go to memory. There's our program we just wrote up. We're going to hit start. There we go. So I'm just going to probe this whole bore, from the X and the Y. And that's already done, so I'm going to go back in the data bank and workpiece coordinate 0, make sure those two numbers change, and they did. So that means that it actually picked up that 0. So for this, I want to kind of eyeball it. This will help me kind of also figure out that my calibration was successful. If this doesn't look like it's anywhere near the center of this, then the calibration probably wasn't all that great. But that looks pretty centered, so I think that's okay. So back over here, I'll show you how to do a web too. I'll do a pocket also. So we can use the ring for a pocket also. I'll go back into this 1, 2, 3 easy set program. I'm looking for a pocket, which is A3. And I'll do Y. I'll use Y so I can. I'll show you web, and I'm going to use Y for web also. But A3 is pocket. S1 is G54. I'm going to do it in Y, and it should still be 2.5 inches. So I'm going to leave that alone. We're still inside the ring. So save that. Go back into memory. We're already inside our pocket. Make sure it looks good. It looks good to me. So again, I'm going to go back in the data bank and my workpiece coordinates. Now I'm going to set this to something ridiculous once again. Because for checking Y, I'll just do Y. Save it. Now I'll open up the program just to show you it's still there. Now I'll hit start. Should just measure in Y. Alright, now I'll go back in the data bank. Workpiece coordinate, or Y change from that solid 8. So that means that worked. Now I'll show you how to do web real quick. Webs are pretty good to know how to do. We'll do manual. Get that ring out of there. And so for actually doing a pickup on something, you don't really know where it is. Start off, you just kind of guess. I don't put a depth, like a crazy depth. Just kind of eyeball it. I know that this platter is 4.5 inches wide. I'll put this sort of in the middle. It's about 3¼ inches to either side, I'm pretty sure. Tape measure. Check. might be a little close to the front. It looks like it, so I'll go back maybe a little more. That'll be alright. So, go back into memory. We're not memory yet. We want to go into edit. We gotta edit this program again. So, A4 for a web. And still G54. We're still doing Y, but we're 4.5 inches now, so make that a 4. And for doing a web, you have to give it a Z depth also, because it's going to go down and measure the size of this platter plate that I got on my trunnion. So I'll throw a few extra spaces. Crap. So good use of cancel without saving changes right there. I didn't mean to erase that comment whatsoever. So we'll get rid of that and we'll start over. This is a good way to keep programs from getting messed up. 4, that's S1 for G54 still. We're doing Y still. Now we're doing 4. Now what happened with deleting that program is I accidentally had this button off. I want to turn that back on so it doesn't write over whatever the cursor's on. I'll do a Z move now, like we were talking about. I'll do -1 inch. It does say in the comment whether or not you should have a Z, or whether or not it's minus, or for like picking up a Z, you wouldn't have a minus or really a Z at all unless you were trying to lie to it. We got that 1 inch in there, so that should be good. From there, I might lower it by hand a little bit more, but 1 inch is. Now, a dangerous thing is if you have your Z value a lot farther than what you need. Like if my Z value is further than this, let's say that's 2 inches. See, that's at 2 inches. Now, if I had that Z that I just showed you set to a -3 inches, this probe will come over, and it'll come down 3 inches, and you'll end up hitting the probe body. So you want to be careful not to hit the probe body on whatever you're doing. So just make sure that you're never going down more than what your stylus allows you to. And that way you don't end up crashing your probe. It can get pretty expensive. I think a probe fully set up and everything to replace it is something around $3,000 US dollars. And that's quite a lot. That's quite a lot of damage, actually, for such a small device. Pretty expensive. So you want to be very careful not to make that Z too far down for no reason. Go into memory. Make sure that's all good. That looks good to me. Looks like it's about to do what I want it. Like I said before, I'm going to go back into manual. Lower down that. That's a little bit more. That's pretty closer. Back to this page, hit start. That's how you set up your Y with the web if you're doing outside measurement. Now I'll show you what happens if I'm off center a little bit. I'm going to make it mess up. I'll completely move away from center. Way off center. Oh, you can tell. We'll watch it. Run the same thing again. Well, I was fine on the front, pretty sure, but on the back, it's a little fast, but it hit probe touch right here instead of on the side like what it was expecting to do. So it doesn't know what happened. It got you an alarm. It just let you know that it wasn't successful. But all you're gonna do is reset it. Kind of move over back to the center where you think the center. Just try it again. As long as that Z is not too far down, you won't hurt anything. Alright, so I think that covers about all the bases for just getting into probing. I'll show you picking up Z without a probe next, and then I'll pick up Z with the probe. And yeah, thanks for watching. I hope that helps. And stay tuned for more. Also, that link for those batteries will be in the description below. Check those out. Yep, thanks.